Rahul. I'm from finance team at PickHacks. And here at PickHacks, we're proud to introduce Cody Isabel, a neuroscientist and founder of Rewrite and Rise. So Cody, go ahead and take it away.
What's up, everybody? Let me get my screen shared real quick. All right, here we go. What is up, everyone? My name is Cody. I'm wearing my green tonight. My brother actually went to Missouri S&T. So crazy. He just graduated there last year. I was just down in the old Raleigh for his graduation in December of this year. So he's working here in Kansas City now. That's where I'm out of, so I'm not far from y'all. So thank you so much for having me tonight. Rahul, if I messed up your name, I'm sorry about that. Asked me to come talk about burnout. I'm pumped up because that's a lot of what I do, especially rewiring burnout. So a little bit, just a quick about me. I'm a cognitive behavioral neuroscientist, meaning I'm not like white coat in a lab. I think it's really freaking boring. I much prefer to be out with people. Like, we all have brains. You have brains, I have brains, everybody has a brain. I think everybody can be a neuroscientist. And so cognitive behavioral, we'll get into kind of what that means here a little bit, but that's the kind of the flavor of brain science that I kind of work within. So your feelings, thoughts, and actions are really really brief kind of understanding, and then how your brain physiologically works is kind of the background of kind of the brain side of me. And then the other half of me is business. I run a couple companies. One of them is Rewrite and Rise, which is a neurotechnology company. And we really zone into the minds, brains, and bodies, as we'll get into tonight, of top performers. And it was crazy when I was asked to jump on here, because developers is one of the actual main people we work with, especially the ones that are going through a little bit older than probably most of you guys. So 25, 26, 27, 28, like mid 20s into their 30s with quarter life crisis. That's a big thing. If you don't know what that is yet, you will. And then burnout is something we specifically work on, not just with developers, but also with salespeople and business people. So that's a little bit about me. So the big question tonight is, what do you know what is burnout? Like, it seems like an arbitrary word, and it's kind of all over the place. I feel like everybody has a different definition. If there wasn't such a delay in the chat, I'd have you guys put your definitions in there, because I'd love to know. But because there is, here's just the textbook definition of it. If you're like me, I think these are boring, but here it is. Burnout is a state of an emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion caused by excessive and prolonged stress. It occurs when you feel overwhelmed, emotionally drained, and unable to meet constant demands. So that's the textbook definition. I'm going to make it a little bit more fun, and we're going to dive into what burnout really is using this baby here, this baby child, this river, and second order effects. Because one of the biggest things to understand about burnout is that it is a second order effect. If you don't know what that is, there's a little story I can tell about this, why this baby is in this river. There was a couple doctors, and they were going through the forest, and they were on a hike or whatever, and they see this river, and in the river, as they're walking along this river, they see a baby. And the baby, they're like, what the hell's going on with this baby? What's happening? This kid's drowning. So that one of the doctors jumps in, goes and saves the baby, and they're celebrating, like, oh yes, this baby is saved. But they look up, and there's another baby in the river. So another doctor jumps in, grabs the baby, resuscitates the baby, they finish it, save the baby, and then they look up again, and there's like 2, 3, 4, 5 more babies coming down the river. And 2 of the doctors jump back in the water to try and save these babies, but one doctor starts walking away, and the other was like, what the hell? What are you guys doing? He's like, I'm gonna go see who's throwing the babies in the water, right? So a lot of the times, when you're burnt out, you're the doctors that are jumping back into the river trying to save the babies. That's the second order effect. That's the stress, anxiety, depression, like the low energy, low motivation. Like, you're saving the baby, and you're doing things to soothe those downstream effects, the first order, but you're not going to say who's throwing the babies in. And so that's a lot of what I want to talk about tonight, is how to go upstream and kind of figure out like what's going on. Another analogy I use a lot is like, you're so busy mopping up the floor, you don't turn off the faucet. You got to turn off the faucet if you ever want to stop mopping. And so burnout is really a second order effect. It is not like a primary thing, it's a secondary thing. So it's really important to remember. When you dive into burnout, like, there are 3 basic things. I'm going to do some brief kind of explaining of burnout, and then we're going to dive into like what to do. But when you look at the basics, exhaustion, cynicism, purposelessness. We're going to dive into like neurologically why this is happening, because your brain physiology, like what makes up your brain, creates what happens in like behaviorally. That's cognitive, what's happening here, behavior, neuroscience. And so exhaustion, cynicism, and purposelessness are kind of the three buckets that we look for in burnout. Those downstream effects, like I was talking about. So exhaustion, like you're sleeping, but you just can't find energy. Cynicism, everything's negative. You're just pissed off. You're angry. You're resentful. Or purpose. You just don't see a point in anything of what's going on anymore. Probably feel like this little dude right here. So what's happening in your brain? To make neuroscience simple, lots of color good, no color bad. This is actually a part of your brain called, you may have heard of it, your limbic system, but this is your fight or flight. If you've heard of fight, flight, freeze, that kind of stuff, this is the very limbic portion of your brain. And this is when it's under chronic stress, which burnout is a stress disorder. That's what your brain looks like. This is a healthy brain, and then this is a chronic stress. And right here in the middle, this is the same shot. This is from from a top view, and this would be if you took a picture of like this going like right in front of my face. But this giant gaping hole in the center of your brain right here. See, this is a healthy brain, and this hole that's right here in the center of this brain is someone who has chronic stress, and it actually chronic stress destroys your white matter, which makes these things happen because white matter actually is what makes your brain fire fast. That's how you can communicate and talk and think and all of that stuff without straining too much, is because you have tons, very thick, usually really thick white matter in your brain. But when you're chronically stressed, that can not be the case. So when you think about burnout, there's a couple cycles I want you guys to think about. It's not, burnout is not just one thing, it's a cycle. I love cycles. We'll see tons tonight. But when you're looking at burnout, the cycle people typically go through is some type of anxiety. So whether it's I'm not doing enough, or I need to get this job done, I've got a test coming up, I've got a development project I need to finish, right? The anxiety sets in. So you keep busy. Instead of dealing with the anxiety, you bury it. I've never had a guy do that before. But you bury it, keep busy, and you pretend like it's okay, and you just hyper, just do more and more and more and more. But eventually you burn out. You get to the depression and burnout are slightly different, but they're kind of similar. It's just that low energy, low motivation, and you crash. But then you're like, the only reason that I couldn't get all of it done was because I didn't try hard enough. So next time I'm going to try harder, right? And as your battery starts to regain, you dive back into trying harder next time, which slowly builds into anxiety, which crashes you into keeping busy, which crashes you down to burnout, and you're cycle around. Similar, you guys are students, so I figured this is one that had to pull out of the forever ago, the archives, sorry. But anxiety about tests, right? This is huge. Then you binge and cram for the test. You get post-test depression sometimes. Depression where it's just like, screw everything. And then you're like, okay, I'll just try harder now. I didn't get the grade I want. I'll try harder next time. And so you could be studying as you come up to the test, but why do that? It doesn't make any sense. I'd rather get anxious right before the test, cram for it, and then crash, right? So this is pretty similar, or a cycle I've seen in students before. And then developers are crazy. I've hired many of them, and y'all are a specific breed of human. I love it. But a lot of times developers go straight back and forth, binge and burnout, binge and burnout, binge and burnout. Though, I mean, I've had people, my own employees, work for 48 hours straight. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? This is not healthy. And then they burn out, and I don't see them for 2 weeks. And it's like, where'd you go? But developers like to add in a little bit of what I call head trash, where it's like, is it me, or is it the code, or am I just a bad developer, or what's happening? And so the binge and burnout cycle, it's similar for developers. There's still the like all-nighter to finish, and then the try harder next time type thing. But the binge burnout is a much more common in developers, especially when I work with them. So this is kind of burnout described in a cycle. And then one who had asked me to talk about was isolation and burnout. This is huge, especially as you guys know, last year in the pandemic, some scary stuff. And so isolation and burnout, when you're looking at this, you've got some crazy stats. Like this is the craziest year to be a brain coach like ever. I swear to God, I can't make this stuff up. But you're looking at the beginning of 2020, and then the end, just 1 month or 1 year. Like these are just crazy statistics. And so when you are alone, and when you're isolated, some crazy things happen to your mental health. This is anxiety. This is specifically, this bar right here is anxiety. This one's depression. Those are the two most common mental health disorders, especially in our age group, 20s and 30-year-olds. And so when you're looking at mental health and when you're looking at your brain isolated, just about every single part except that your occipital cortex is your vision. So surprise, surprise that it is active. But every other part of your important part of your cognitively functioning brain is has lower activation when you are isolated. This is just the isolated brain. Oops. Um, when you're looking at your biology, cognition, and other behaviors, the biggest ones I want you to look at is inflammation, immunity, and sleep. So you're sleeping worse, your immune system is lower, which is crazy. Think about COVID, your immune system is lower, and inflammation is, your ability to regulate your inflammation is worse. Your memory is worse, and you're hypervigilant, which is what? That's the anxiety, right? That hypervigilance, that fear. And so when your brain is isolated, it's doing some really, really crazy things internally to itself. And the same similar things as those pictures I showed you earlier are also happening. And so one of the biggest things I talk about, we'll talk more about this later, but social connection is a humongous piece of what I teach people a ton about. Like whether it's your mom, if you're in a band, if you're in a group, if you're networking, whatever, getting out and about and around people, because when your brain is around people, the social brain we were built in tribes. Like there is an explosion after we got into tribes of our evolutionary tree. It just literally flourishes the moment we got to group together. And it shows in our neurology. Every single piece of our brains is skyrockets. Your ability to control inflammation, your immunity goes up. Being around people, not isolated from people, is why lockdowns are a controversial thing a lot of the times. When you are looking at what is happening to your actual immune system, psychoneuroimmunology wise, like how your brain works through your mind to your immune system. This is what's happening when you're able to get out and about and be around people and socially connecting. So that's one of the biggest differences that happens in your brain when you're socially isolated. And so these things, when you have a social brain, it's brain symptoms and behavioral symptoms improve. So less burnt out, less stressed, less anxious, worried, less depressed. When you're isolated, burnout is the name of the game because it is already, your brain is neurologically already in that place. So that's one of the biggest things to kind of think about when we think about isolation. The next thing I want to talk about, and again, I'm just trying to throw some stats at you before we get into fixing this, but who can get burnt out? The next couple slides are literally just to show you guys that literally everyone on earth can get burnout, and every single person on earth is men, women, every single race, every country. This is every single Gen Z. I am a Gen Z, so let's go. Millennials, our older brethren, Gen X, baby boomers, a little bit less. They're kind of in a different part of their life. But as you'll see, and we'll talk about this here in a second, this younger group, I mean, this is like teens-ish and up to 20-ish or so. And then this is like 30s, 40s, that range. So these are the younger piece of our population. Then you've got literally every single country, every single ethnicity, every job title, all of them can get burnt out. When you're looking at who is hit the hardest, however, it is really the top performing people that want to do their best, and young people. That's us, 20s and 30-year-olds. Specifically students, it's crazy what's happening, especially to guys right now. It's really scary. I work almost exclusively with guys because we're underappreciated sometimes. And we just don't get to talk about the mental health stuff here. So students is one, developers, salespeople, sales executives, like business development, account managers, that kind of stuff. And then leaders, executives, entrepreneurs, things like that. Really, really groups that are hit super, super hard. And we see some of the worst outcomes. Why is this for your pit the hardest? What burnout behaviors, and I'll tell you this is a fact, get you praise. Like the ideal worker today leads to burnout. You're up on your work over the weekends, you work overnight, you don't go out with friends, you don't take a break, you don't take your vacation days, that and it's rewarded. And so that ideal worker, that leads to burnout. Remember, burnout is a second order effect. Like it is not the baby in the water, it is what's being thrown in the water upstream. And so these behaviors lead to burnout. Ideals about work. So as we are younger, you have false expectations. I literally went through this recently. Like I remember when I got out of school, I was in the company. I thought I was going to be there forever. I thought they were the best thing since sliced bread. And then you just get slapped in the face a few times, and you're like, "Crap! This is not like my expectation. My ideals about this were so misguided." But it caused me to work over the weekends, work almost buy a company that made no sense to buy. Like I mean, there's so many things that just because you're younger, we have different expectations, and they're used. So we're assigned more things, we're get paid less, and we're overlooked for promotions. And so it's just a cluster, you know what, of burnout and overwhelm and stress. And so that's why this group here, 20 to 30-year-olds, especially the people that want to kind of be at the top, students, developers, salespeople, and leaders, executives, entrepreneurs are really, really hit pretty hard with this stuff. All right, so going slow. So how do we deal with this then? So the first step into kind of dealing with things is to outline the process. I'm a process guy, can't help myself. Need some water. And the three steps that we kind of talk about, you guys are developers, so I was like, dude, or a lot of you guys are at least, they'll understand the OS. I don't even have to probably say operating system to this group. A lot of salespeople are like, "What is an OS?" It's like, dude, come on. Do you have a phone? Like, but the three steps that we're going to kind of go through here is identify, identity, and hero OS. A lot of what I talk about and teach about is hero, is mind, brain, body, but then hero. There's story behind heroes and things, and we'll kind of dive into that here in a second. But the first thing we're going to talk about is how can you identify some of these stuff in a more specific way than just I'm tired, I'm cynical, I'm purposeless. Identity, and really kind of diving into understanding what the some of the ways that people try to may become the thing they're trying to not be. So instead of feeling burnt out, you become burnt out. And so we'll talk about that. And then the hero OS. So that's kind of the big picture process that we're going on, or the big overview, as we dive into kind of dealing with this. So the first one, I need to come off the screen here. I want you guys to check out this link. Here we go. All right, so the first thing that you can do to identify it, I just dropped this link in the chat. I'm going to drop another one here too, so go check that out. But this is literally the Maslow Burnout quiz or inventory, whatever that. This is a screenshot from it, so that you know you're at the right place. But you can go take this and take it more than once. Like you can take it multiple times in a row. But this is just in a very objective, blunt force way to check out, like, am I burnt out? Am I not burnt out? Where am I at? And kind of get us like an objective measure of where you're at. So I suggest this for all of my clients who say they're burnt out. So that's kind of, this is a really easy one. If you have questions about this too, when I'm sharing, I can't actually see you guys. So sadly enough, hopefully you're not asking too crazy questions. I'll pause every once in a while to go look at those. But check out the burnout quiz. The next thing I want to really briefly touch on is the difference between stress and burnout. There is a difference. I mean, this is them side by side. You put too much effort you put in too much effort, sorry. It's hard to put in any effort when you're burnt out, right? Big difference between being able to still get up and go and do something. You're a little bit stressed versus burnt out. That's not happening. Stress is you feel emotions more strongly. Burnt out, no emotions. Stress, hyperactive. Burnt out, drained, and helpless. You can't get up, right? Stress is almost like that, almost manic state. Well, not literally, because that's got to be careful with words here, but hyperactive state where you are up, moving, and have energy. You're still in that let's do lots of things to ignore this phase. You have less energy. You have less motivation. Motivation is a big difference. Motivation is what wakes you up in the morning. Energy is a state of being. It's different. On the stress side, you've also got physical toll, gray hairs, joints are sore, back is sore, Your throat hurts, your traps are, you got tight up in this area, you're like up in the traps, back of your neck, back between right under your right behind your head. Physical stress toll. Burnout is emotional, right? So that's a really quick and easy way. Screenshot this if you want, to understand the difference between stress and burnout. All right, so one of the first tips I want to be able to give you guys is to name it. What do I mean by that? So when you look at studies show that naming your emotions immediately releases their grip over you and reduces physiological distress. So the only reason I am able to talk about this stuff is because I've gone through it myself. In starting, it's not easy to start a company, I will say. The first company I started out was an AI company. It was paying me and my co-founder. I mean, it's not easy. Scratching our heads a lot. And in that time, I had developed anxiety myself. I had panic attacks and all the whole thing. I was like, what the hell? What's going on? Like, I'm the brain guy. Well, how's this happening to me? Right. But I got past that stress point into the burnout point. And so that anxiety started to take a grip of me. And I was like, holy crap, this sucks. And one of the coolest things that I did and teach every single person that I work with to this day is I named my anxiety. People think I'm crazy because I name everything now, but I name my anxiety Mamba. And so what does that even mean? If you are anywhere near Kansas City or have ever been, and you've heard of Worlds of Fun, it's this gigantic amusement park here in Kansas City. And the biggest, craziest roller coaster is called the Mamba. So the crazy thing about anxiety is that it is your fear response in your brain is the same as your excitement response. So before I hop down with you guys, my heart's pumping, right? But I'm not scared, I'm excited, right? And so the only difference between fear, like fight or flight, and excitement is in your mind, not your body or your brain, right? It's the same thing. And so I name mine Mamba because on the Mamba, when you're going up the roller coaster, click, 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 what's happening? Like your palms are getting sweaty, your chest is getting tight, your heart rate's going up, you get that feeling in your stomach, right? You get the chills, all the same symptoms of a anxiety or panic attack, but I'm excited. And so I'm like, let's freaking go, like, right? And so I started naming it the Mamba, and it released the anxiety's grip over me. My chest, the second I started to feel my chest get tight, I'd be like, oh, what's up, Mamba? How you doing, brother? Welcome back, man. And I'm smiling, I'm changing my whole body is changing. We'll talk about that here in a little of how powerful your body can be in response to your to get your brain moving the way you want it to. So naming that anxiety. So when you're looking at the burnout cycle, being able to name these individual pieces is massive. Like maybe you name this busy bee, maybe you name burnout gloomy, or like depression gloomy, right? Try harder next time, right? It could be anything. Name them anything. Make them funny. The funnier you can make them, the better. I've had people who name their anxiety Skeeter, like a mosquito, because it's just buzzing around. It's that like worried about the future, can't ever stop, always cycling, can't stop, won't stop, right? So being able to name these things saps the power out of them. Another one that I did, this is a really funny one, but was for anger. I was a college athlete, and so I had to really learn how to temper my anger, especially moving into college, because you can't get thrown out of a game. And so my anger, I named Jerry. And so people would hear me talking to myself, and they're like, who are you talking to? I was like, Jerry, this freaking dude, he's always trying to come at me. Like, and I would just call that emotion, because anger is an emotion. I would call it Jerry. I was like, Jerry, not right now. This is not I'm driving the bus, brother, not you. Sit back down. Right. And just have fun with it and personify and talk about it out loud. It's really fun. It's in a really, really easy way to get it. Not, I don't have anxiety. Anxiety is out here. And now I've got distance between me and it loosens the grip that it has. So just name it. That's one of the first tips. I'm gonna stop sharing real quick. I want to see if there's anything in the chat. I like it. Thanks for making this distinction. I like it. Okay, cool. All right, let me dive back in. So naming it is a huge piece. The next thing I want to be able to talk about is identity. So this is huge. I talk a ton about identity. A lot of people go about attacking things wrong. This is huge. Record this part. Most people attack things strategy, story, state. So what do I mean by that? let's pretend you want to lose weight. It's an arbitrary one, but let's pretend you want to lose weight. What do most people go do? Google it, YouTube it, whatever it is, and what happens? 3 trillion things pop up, right? And so they go pick any random strategy, hope it works. But then when it doesn't, what happens? They build a story. That doesn't. I can't. That doesn't work for me. I'm a failure. I'm not good enough. I can't do this, right? They build a story about the strategy they arbitrarily picked, which takes their energy state, drops their energy state lower. So then what do? They go back, right? And they say, okay, well, I'm going to go with lower energy, genius, to strategy, and I'm going to go pick another one. Let me just, all right, let's do it, right? And so they go pick another strategy, and that one doesn't work. Surprise, surprise. And so they build another story, a even worse story, which creates a lower energy state. And then they try another strategy, worse story, lower energy state. And they get down to this place where they're so low, where they're like, nothing ever works. It's just another one of those programs. Nothing works for me. I've tried 100 things. Where if you actually talk, well, 100, really, which 100? Well, I mean, maybe I tried like 50. Oh, really? Like, just, can you name a couple of them? Well, maybe it's like one or two. It's like, oh, okay, so not 100. And then they've got such a crappy story that no matter what strategy they pick, that story will kill them. It will crush them. And so this is how most people attack anxiety, depression, burnout, stress, weight loss, any type of behavioral change. Most people will go and try and find a strategy first. So they go strategy, story, state. What starts to happen over time is you start to identify with that. You start to become this story. The story in the middle over a long enough time becomes permanent. And you start to say, I am burnt out. I am depressed. I am, and you identify with it, right? I am a smoker. I am a whatever, pothead, whatever it is, you identify with it, right? Instead of saying, I feel anxious. I feel nervous. I feel, big difference between feeling and being. When it becomes your identity, that is your predetermined story. So no matter what strategy you're attacking, your identity creates a state and story that is permanent. It's always there, right? So it becomes who you are. So when you think about how a hero attacks this, the hack here, like, I wish I knew this when I was a freaking preschooler, man, is to go backwards. Start at your state, then go to your story, then go to your strategy. So what the hell do I mean by that? So when you go backwards, if you define your state, let's pretend you are the state you want to define is motivated, pumped up, excited, fulfilled, content, right? That state of, just think back to a time back in your life where you just crushed something. You woke up, you're like, I'm freaking ready to go. We're going to get this, right? You're amped up, ready to go. That state creates the story, I'm unstoppable. Nothing will stop me. I can do anything. And that story of I'm unstoppable will let any strategy work. At that point, it doesn't matter what the strategy is. It will work because you've defined the state you want. You've got a story that will help you and not screw you. And then any strategy works. There are better strategies. We're going to dive into some strategies here in a second. But being able to start with your state, then your story is powerful. And so what we talk about here at Rewrite and Rise is creating a heroic story out of your life. And so we help people create heroes to do this. And so for us, the definition of a hero is an ordinary person, just like you and me, put to in an extraordinary circumstance who takes action. That's it. And so the process for this is really, really quick and simple. I'm going to take you guys through this here in a second. But before I do, I want to help you understand some of the psychology of this. Cognitive behavioral neuroscience is very, very deeply tied to a lot of psychology. And so a lot of what I work with people on is very psychologically based. And so multiple self theory is what this is really tied to. You guys are different. You use this, you have multiple selves. Everyone does. We all do. You already do this. You just don't, I'm going to teach you how to do it on purpose. But you act differently around your friends than your family. You act differently at church than you do when you're with your girlfriend or whatever, right? So you act and have a different self when you're at a networking event or like a social event, whatever, than you do when you're in other places. So you have multiple selves already, right? You put on different costumes for different occasions, right? Just imagine so. What a hero is taking that and using it on purpose. So Kobe Bryant was the Black Mamba, right? Michael Jordan, his airness. Like there's tons of them. People put on these costumes. They put on these different personas, these different selves to go and use their powers, right? So when I speak, like tonight, I activated my Tony, right? Tony Robbins. He's a huge public speaker. I love the guy. And you can use their powers to your advantage. So when you don't feel like you have the skill, or you don't have the state or the story that you want, let's pretend you're saying I'm not good enough, but maybe you have an uncle or a dad or a mom or a family member, or a coach or someone that really believes in you, and they know their story is they're good enough. Your hero could become them. And so how do you do that? So this is the process. I want to take a minute for you guys to do this one. So I'm going to pause for as I go through this here. But the first part of the process is really naming it. I love naming things. I've got names for people are probably think I'm crazy sometimes because I name so many things. But I've got lots of heroes. I got Frizzle, Miss Frizzle from the Magic School Bus. Freaking love that lady. That's one of mine. Frizzle. I got McCall for leadership. I've got Tony. I've got tons of them. So name it. It can be literally anything. I've had people, Fairy Dust. I've had one, Mr. Shelby. I've had Winter Raven. I've had Blue. I've had Midnight. I've had literally could be anything. Like name it, add multiple words. It could be an animal. It could be a superhero. It could be a family member. It could be whatever. Name it whatever you want, as long as it gets you going and it means something to you. After you name it, so take a second right now and think about that as I'm kind of going through the rest of these. So name your hero, then the heroic state. So what is the emotional state that you want, right? So when we help people go from state to story to strategy, what we help them do is create a heroic state. If I had more time, I would take one of you guys through this, where I'm actually anchoring, just like Pavlov's dog, the emotional state into your nervous system. There's a couple things you can do. Like you pull on your ear and it'll activate a state. But for now, what I want you to do is write down your state. Like if you're getting in and you want to start developing, do you want to be focused, motivated, productive? Do you want peace, calm, tranquility? What do you want your state to be? So name your hero. Then what state of being is that hero, right? And then think about the story. So what does your hero believe? I'm a badass. I can do this. The best developer on earth. I can sell anything. I'm gonna raise money like I'm meant to, like Wolf of Wall Street type thing, right? What's the story? It's all right to hype yourself up a little bit. That's the point. You want a story that will help any strategy. And then action is the last piece. And action is actually another cycle, another process. Can't help myself. But I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes here, just like a minute, to kind of write down some thoughts on these. I'm going to unshare it so I can see your comments, and then we'll dive into what action is as well. But I want you guys to write these down. We're agreeing and replacing. I'm going to look at some of these things. Focused. That's a beautiful one. I like that, Jacob. Wait, I'm in this cycle. I feel you. Okay, cool. Get to read some of your comments. Let's jump back in here. All right. So when you're looking at action, what I want you guys to understand is that action, oops, wrong slide, sorry. Action is a 3-step process. All right. So if you didn't have a chance to get this, screenshot this. I can send you guys the slides. Somebody asked about that in the chat. Happy to do that. But if you didn't get it, just screenshot this so you guys can do this. But action, I want to really dive into. If you're developers, which a lot of you, I know a lot of you are, at least it's freaking hackathon. Act, assess, adjust should not be crazy to you, because you deploy code, see if it runs, see if the error messages come. So deploying is acting, checking all the error messages is assessing, fixing what is causing the error, the bug, or whatever it is, and then redeploying. So you guys, this is a cycle that you guys have better than almost anybody. Now, this can apply to any area of your life as well, right? So if you go do a certain type of workout, you don't like it, you've acted, assessed, and adjust, right? If you go try to network and you're taking an action, did you get any contacts? Was it a good place to go? That's assessing. And then adjust, go to a different place next time if it wasn't, right? You can use this. There is no failure. There's only feedback. Feedback, not failure. Like, stop believing in failure. Like, you have to fail 1,000 times. No, you don't. Just get feedback. Like it's just, you do not have to believe that you have to fail. Just believe, shift your belief to, I am always getting feedback. Because if you're in this cycle, you're never not getting feedback, right? So that's action. And that's what heroes do, is they act. A hero is just an ordinary person put into an extraordinary circumstance who takes action. That is you. That is me. We all have the ability to do it. So now that we have kind of understood identity, what I want to walk you guys through now in our last few minutes together is the Hero OS. So this is made up of Lego Superman, first of all. Second of all, it is made up of 3 parts: the mind, the brain, and body. Separate but inseparable. What do I mean by that? So these 3 things interconnect. These 3 things interconnect inside of you. And they sit within one another. So your mind sits within your brain. Your brain sits within your body, right? Your body is the soil for your brain. Your brain is the soil for your mind, right? That's a really easy way to kind of think about it. And it breaks down into a couple different parts. Your mind, I didn't know what else this is supposed to represent a neuron. It's really hard to represent the mind in a picture, I will say. But here we are. The conscious mind, though, or your mind is in 2 parts, though. So the mind has the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. So when you're thinking about how your mind breaks down, think about it like this: your conscious mind, you're using right now your conscious mind to listen to me, to think about this. You only have 126 bits of information you can process consciously per second. 126 bits per second that your conscious mind can process. Your subconscious mind processes 6.3 trillion bits of information per second. 6.3 billion bits of information per second. That's your subconscious mind. That's crazy. And so that's how your mind breaks down. You've got the conscious part that is like, oh, I feel this, I feel that, I think that, I feel this. And your subconscious is the thing that's underneath, that is driving your 95% of your day is subconsciously driven. Your habits, patterns, routines. I know you think you're a unique, special thing, but most of it is your subconscious mind making sure your heart's breathing, making sure you're blinking, making sure that you can feel your ass in your chair right now, which you were probably not thinking about until I said something. Can you feel your shirt on your body? Can you feel your AirPods in your ear, your hat on your head? Can you feel the thing, right? As I'm calling them out, now you're feeling them, but you weren't until I brought your focus to them, because you only have 126 bits of conscious information. You're trying to listen to me, I hope, right? So your subconscious mind is crazy powerful if you can start to use it in an effective way. The brain then, so you've got, that's the mind. The brain breaks down into 2 parts as well: old brain and new brain. The old brain is genetically driven. It just wants sugar, and it wants sex, it wants sugar, it wants to survive and pass its genes on. The new brain, the old brain is at the middle of your brain. The new brain sits on top of it, and it's just been called 1,000 things: reptile brain, whatever. I simplify it down to old brain and new brain because people who don't know about the brain, really, it's really simple for them to understand. The new brain sits on top of the old brain, and it is driven by intelligence. It is a map of the world. That's it, right? So and I personify these. So your old brain and your new brain can talk to one another, and they do talk to one another. Your old brain, like, let's pretend back in the day, we're trying to find some berries. Your new brain would come to your old brain and say, hey, I found, or your old brain would come to the new brain and say, I'm hungry, let's go find food. And your new brain, like, okay, well, since I have a map of the world and I'm intelligent, I know that there are berries across that river and across that savanna. The last time we went across that savanna, there was a tiger, heads up, but I'm not scared of it because I don't have emotions. I'm just completely logical and I just have a map. But your old brain is like, what? There's a tiger. We're not going that way. I need to reproduce, bro. Go across the river. And it would go to the body. It would yell at the body where action resides, because your body will take you to the berries. So your old brain goes to the body and is like, let's get going, and goes and gets the berries and follows the new brain's map to across the river. And that's how your old brain and new brain talk to one another. It is extraordinarily more complicated than that, but that's a really, really easy way to understand it. And then your new and old brain sit on top of your body, and that's where action is. So your body you've got blood in every single part of your body, right? And so that's where action happens. And that's how your brain gets down into your body through your peripheral nervous system. And your old brain can communicate with your body through hormones, through chemicals, through electrical signals, and get it moving and grooving. So then when you're looking at how you can start to attack using this hero OS, the mind, brain, and body. You can look at this in 3 ways, or 2 ways really: top up, or yeah, top down. Sorry, top down versus bottom up. I always get these mixed up. The first way that I always go with people is bottom up. And I'm going to show you why here in a second. Because when you're looking at going bottom up, if you can get the soil of your body fertile, your brain is healthy. If your brain is healthy, it's crazy what happens to your mind. It becomes so much healthier. And so whenever I work with people, I always start bottom up. I always start with their body in something called the hero's body. So it breaks down into sleep, nutrition, exercise, social connection, we talked about earlier, and play. When you're thinking about these 5 things, there are some key areas. Sleep. If there's one thing you remember from this, I want you to sear this into your prefrontal cortex right now. Sleep more. Literally, it has been proven scientifically, the less hours of sleep you get, the less years of life you have. It's that simple. Sleep, prioritize it. Get healthy sleep. Have a good morning and night routine that you're waking up at a consistent time and going to sleep at a consistent time. And then finally, figure out what your chronotype is. So I'm going to grab, you guys probably see this. It should look just like this when you get to it. Your chronotype is your circadian rhythm. Oh my God, dude. Vernon, 1000 Brains. I know Jeff, so I love that book. So shout out to you for knowing that book. That's clutch. But when you're looking at your chronotype, I just dropped this in the chat. Your chronotype is your circadian rhythm. It's the natural rhythm of your sleep and wake cycle. By taking that quiz, you can really understand what should your morning routine be, what should your night routine be, and when should I be getting away or going to bed, waking up, all that kind of stuff. So that's sleep. Coming up on the time here, so I'm going a little bit quick. Sorry, friends. Nutrition. This is the next one. So it's your gut biome. Every single one of us is extraordinarily different. So it's really hard to prognosticate on what you each individually should do nutritionally. But here are some basics. Decrease your sugar intake. Sugar is like a bull in a china shop inside the cells of your body. The more sugar you eat, the faster you age. That's just a straight fact. It goes in and kills cells. It's hard, like refined, really crappy sugar. If you can just decrease that, like I have a cheat day. I don't eat sugar during the week, and I eat Friday night, Saturday night. I'll have a little bit of a cheat. I'll have some ice cream. That's my go-to. I love ice cream. So just limit it. I don't want you to live a shitty life, but like I want you to live, right? And you guys are in your 20s. You will on average live to like 156, I think, is what on average you should probably be living to. I mean, you're essentially almost not born yet. Like I'm a toddler, right? It's crazy. And being able to live in a healthy way will allow you to live a healthy, fulfilling life, not in a hospital bed. So think about that. Decrease your sugar. Fasting is a really good one. Just skip breakfast. Break fast. Breakfast, break fast. When we were hunting and gathering, do you think we had time for breakfast? No, we had to go find our food, and then we broke fast around noon or 1 when we found food. Breakfast became a thing when companies decided, oh, we would like to sell more food. Let's have another meal today. Crazy how that works. So fasting is a really good one. Helps you increase your mitochondria, powerhouse of the cell. When you fast, though, old mitochondria have to die so new ones can grow. That's a quick tip. And then limit alcohol. I know I'm talking to a bunch of college guys here, but if you can limit your alcohol shrinks your brain. Like it does some crazy stuff to your brain, especially if you like binging, going hardcore. And I mean, I was in college too, so I understand it. But I don't drink now, right? So if you can limit alcohol, and don't want you again not to have a fun life. I'm not a fun hater. I promise. But limiting alcohol is super helpful. Exercise, lift weights. I cannot stress this enough. Lift them. Go lift weights. There is something called brain-derived neurotrophic factor in your muscle fibers. When you contract your muscle fibers, it's released into your blood, and it's better than Adderall. It's crazy what it can do. And putting your muscles under strain helps you increase your blood flow, increase your immune system, increase your metabolic rate. It's crazy what lifting weights, literally lifting weights can do. And then do HIIT and do this like 5 to 6 times per week if you can. Like exercise, dude, like it is so important. The amount of people I have gotten off depression medication beaten depression, couldn't get their face off the freaking ground just because I fixed their sleep and I fixed their exercise, is an unfathomable number of people. Um, I'm telling you guys, this is huge. Stretching is a really, really good one. I didn't do it enough. If you're sitting a lot, which is the new smoking, like stretching is huge. And then walking after dinner actually helps you reuptake glucose 10 times faster, or 10 times better. So just go for a quick walk. Last two, social connection, build your tribe. This is huge. If you're around 5 millionaires, you will be the sixth. If you're around 5 drug dealers, you will be the sixth. Do that math. You guys are smart. Build your network. Your network is your net worth. This is huge, man. Like, go network right now, today. Like, I wish I knew more people. Right? Your network is your net worth. Like, if you know someone that's in a job, like, call someone in Apple that you know, call someone wherever it is that you want to go work. Call them. Say, hey, can I have an informational interview with you? And no one. I'm in college. Will you do that? No one will say no. Right? Get in that thing. Ask them about their day. What's your day like? Do you like your job? What do you wish you did different? How much money do you make? Do you have a good lifestyle? Is it balanced? Do you get burnt out? Ask them those questions. And then at the very end, this is the kill shot. Go in and say, who else do you think I should talk to? Just ask that question. And then your network will light up on fire. Go meet with the person they connect you with, and then ask all the same questions. And at the very end, who do you think I should meet with next? And just keep doing that. And you will be astounded how few resumes you have. I've never sent a single resume out, not a single time. Like, not one single time. I've always been directly introduced to someone. I go have coffee with them, and then I get hired. Like, if you build a massive, great network, that can happen. So even as developers, no matter what you do, build a network, and then do something in with or around others 1 time per week at least. Get around people. It's so huge, so good for our brains. This is my favorite one. Play. Stop being so freaking serious. Good Lord, man. Adults are just kids wearing costumes. The younger you are, then the younger you believe you are, the older you will become. Like, the older you will live, right? But the younger you will be. And that's beautiful. Kids are in a blissful state. Like, why the shit do we stop doing that? It sucks. What are your hobbies? Do you know what a freaking hobby is? Find some. Go do fun stuff. Like, I forget what I'm doing. It is so fun type of stuff. Go swing on a park. I walked to a park the other day and swung. I'm a 6'6", 200-pound dude swinging on this thing. The whole rack was moving. It was crazy, but I'm playing, right? Go play sports. Chess is a really good one. Video games, like, play. Go move your body, be around other people. Play is humongous. When you're thinking about in developers, this is the one I have to work on so hard with developers. A lot of the times that I'm working with them out here is playing and going to go do things outside of just developing. So that is bottom up. The last one we're going to cover is top down. So going from your mind to your brain to your body. And this one is just really quick. Which is looking at the belief wheel. This is a really, really simple way to understand what your mind is doing. Because now that you've gotten your body, we've made the soil very, very fertile. Your brain is healthy. And because your brain is healthy, now your mind is willing to release I'm not good enough. I suck at this. I can't do that. Shitty money beliefs, like, I'm not worthy, whatever it is. The head trash that you have. I suck at development. I'll never get good grades. Like, right. All of the horse crap that's upstairs. You can start to dive into that now. And using this belief wheel is a really, really easy way. Screenshot this if you want. But when you're thinking about a result, you're not getting a result. I'm not getting the grades I want. I'm not getting the girls or guys or whatever that I want to get. I don't have the relationships I want. I don't have the family relationships I want, right? I'm not making money, whatever the result is. I can't get up on time. I can't go work out. Those are all results. By diving into and really dissecting the beliefs, right, that are forming because of these results, right? So let's, what's a really easy one? Waking up early. All right. So if the result that you want is to wake up early without hitting the snooze alarm, right? But the belief, I am not a morning person, is your belief, which it is many people I work with, then the feelings and thoughts that happen when that alarm goes off are what? Oh my God, the bed's so much warmer, and oh, it's cold out there, and I'll just hit the snooze alarm one time, like in the NBD. It's the weekend. I can, right? Those are the feelings and thoughts that happen, and then cause what action? You hit the snooze alarm. And then because you hit the snooze alarm, what happens? You don't get up early, which then reinforces the belief that you're not a morning person, which then causes the same feelings and thoughts, the same actions, the same results, same beliefs, same thought, and it goes in a circle. So you can hack this, right? Action is in your body. You have control of your action. Before your prefrontal cortex turns on, you have 5 seconds, right? So when your alarm goes off, you have 5 seconds before your prefrontal cortex is like, maybe we shouldn't, maybe we get right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Just count down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Put your feet on the ground. The moment your feet touch the ground, you've taken a new action, which it gets you a new result, which reinforces I am a morning person, a new belief, which then creates new feelings and thoughts, which reinforces the action, which reinforces the result. And then now you've got the thing on your team, right? So in this action, there's a prefrontal cortex hack, that cognitive control right in the front of your brain. 5 seconds, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Just take 5 seconds to act, force a new result. By getting those new results, you form new beliefs. Those new beliefs will start to subconsciously propel you forward with more empowering feelings and thoughts, better actions, better results, and you've got this cycle on your team now. If there is any result you are not getting in any way, shape, or form in any area of your life, look at this wheel and dissect it. Like, what are the beliefs you have around that thing? And take yourself around the wheel and start retooling it. Action is where you have the most power. Remember that. But beliefs, this is where I work with some people and I really help them flip beliefs. So, but that's something you do with a coach, or someone like me, like a neuroscientist or a therapist type thing. But action is where you guys have some really, really, really powerful control. All right, I don't know. Let me ask the moderators here. I'm going a little over. Do I have time? I added this one at the end. I wanted to make sure that I had. Raul asked me to add some fulfillment. Is this? Remember seeing something in the chat? Get your profile. Okay, cool. Let me know if I can go into this fulfillment, but otherwise we can wrap it up here. What do you think? Somebody drop me a comment.
I think you're good to go. This is great stuff.
Okay, cool. It's just 2 slides. Sorry, I'm going a little bit over. I'm a chatty Cathy. It's my identity. No, I'm kidding. All right, let's dive in. So the bonus I want to add, if I had time, thank you guys for giving me a couple more minutes here, is fulfillment, how to be. So when you're looking at, this is kind of a bonus piece, but this is something I actually, some of my higher paying clients, honestly, this is some of the deeper stuff I work on with them. So I'm going to give some of this stuff, give away a little bit of the farm for y'all tonight. But this is really how to find more fulfillment in whatever it is you want to go do, or what you're trying to do, or what you have dreams to go do. This is how to have, right? And so in the more Western thought process, if you will, this is the process that we work through. Like, when you're thinking, well, what job do I want to have? What's the salary that I'll have? What materials can I have? And you're already thinking about the having when you're thinking about that we're conditioned to do. I did it too. I do it too, right? And so our thought process is have. And so then we go and do, right? So that we can be happy, we can be fulfilled, we can be content, we can be peaceful, right? So we start with have, then we go do a job, we go do a thing that we think will create some sense of peace or actual happiness, but it just doesn't happen because no amount of having will allow you to get to that place. The amount of executives that are making millions of dollars a year that come to me and say, I'm not happy. Like, I don't have motivation. I can't get out of bed. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, I can't find it in me anymore. Like, I just don't care. I can't. I try to spend my money. I can't even spend all of it. I'm making so much, and it's like, wish I had that problem, first of all. But second of all, they're in a place where they have, and they have, and they've been doing, trying to have, but they're not getting to the place they want to get. They're not getting to a place where they have a purpose. They have a reason that they're living. They have like a reason they're getting up in the morning. And because they are going from having to doing to being. So the hack here is, again, I'm the master of flipping this stuff, flipping the script, is being first. Be first, do on purpose, and you will have all that you need. What do you want to be? Do you want to be peaceful? Do you want to be happy? What do you want to be? You can be anything, literally. Like, I'm not the, let's go sing Kumbaya on the Forest type. Like, I'm a freaking neuroscientist. Come on, man. Like, this is brain chemistry. If you can put it in your mind, the name of my company is Rewrite and Rise, but the holding company's name is Conceive, Believe, Achieve, right? Conceive of it, What do you want to be? Believe you can do that. Achieve is go act, and you will have, right? So if you can be, you can do on purpose, and then you can have whatever you want to have will come to you, but you won't have to force it, but you'll be peaceful and content. You'll never be wanting for more, but more will come to you as a result. It's the craziest concept on earth. Like if you've ever been dating, the second you don't want to be dating, guess what happens? You find everybody that you want. Everybody all of a sudden wants to talk to you. It's the same thing here. Use this in any area. Go test it out. Like if you got more questions on this, let me know. But trying to be something first, right? So state, right? Then do. Go do it with an empowering story and have, right? So being, doing, having. This is how you can find fulfillment in literally everything. It's extraordinarily simplistic. Complexity kills execution. Go act. Go do this. The be first, then do. So this is really all about fulfillment. I appreciate you guys taking some time. Peace sign from Wally. Love that guy. Looks like Rob from Fast Bros, but I guess if you guys want any more information on us, this is kind of all of our socials. Take a screenshot. I think you guys linked my LinkedIn and stuff too. That's a great place to catch me. But I post tons of content, TikTok, all the places. So hit me up if you want. I appreciate you taking some time and invite me out to speak. I'll stop sharing and look in the chat now. TikTok. Yep. Mind, brain. I just put Mind, Brain, Body Lab. What's the TikTok, my man? I appreciate you guys. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I don't know if this was put on the screen on purpose or what's going on, but the 4-day work week versus the 5-day work. I'm happy to answer some questions too, but there's a difference between having a 4-day. It just depends, honestly. It's the way that you're spending the 4 and 5 days, like the 4-hour or the 4. Tim Ferriss wrote this. I can't remember what it is, but it's just the way that you're spending those 4 days or 5 days is the most important portion of it. That's what I would kind of think about if you're thinking about the 4-day versus 5-day. I work 7 days out of the week because I don't think I'm being first. So I don't have my it's not really a job, right? So I work 7 days because I'm able to be. And so instead of, and I put the time for my hero's body stuff. Like I have social connection every day. I have play every day. I have exercise, sleep, nutrition every single day. If you can hit those things, then your body is prepared to go do the things you want to do, and you can work 7 days, 8, well, 8 days. There's not 8 days in a week, but you get my point. Do people with ADHD typically experience more burnout? It goes back and forth. ADHD is an interesting one. That's one that I work on a lot. It really depends on the person. Burnout is in the realm of anxiety more often than not. And so someone with ADHD often it's more around procrastination, where they start to get in, and it's a lack of focus. And so where someone who is anxious is actually hyper focused because acetylcholine and different chemicals are flooding an anxious person's brain to get them more focused. So someone with ADHD has a little bit less focus most of the time. They're trying to do a ton of task switching, and they're not as able to get as zoned in, and they'll have a tendency to want to procrastinate more, or they'll do the last minute thing. So they do the cramming. So it goes back and forth. Do I see it? 100% yes. Do people who have ADHD sometimes are more anxious? Sometimes not. It goes back and forth. There's not really a direct answer on that one. Ignoring your stress. Oh, it's kind of different on people, but 63 days is a pretty good framework to kind of think about as far as how long it would take. 63 days is about how long, because what happens is your mind is stressed out. So then it goes to your brain, right? They all talk to each other. It goes to your brain. Your new brain is like, hey, tell the old brain I'm stressed. And so then the new old brain is like, dude, I'm stressed, and starts releasing chemicals into the body. And slowly over time, about 63 days ish, your old brain is releasing those chemicals like cortisol and the stress hormones into your body. And then you start to feel the things in your body, like whether it's the chest tightness, whether it's literally your intercostals, like you have intercostals all right here. And if you stand up and stretch back and you get lots of pops in your intercostals, that's stored up tension and stress over time. And you can literally lean back and breathe in like that. It looks kind of funny, but it releases the stress in your intercostals. But that starts to happen even around 63, 84-ish days. Some people have an extraordinarily high stress tolerance. I'm one of those types of people. And it takes a lot longer, like almost a year in some cases. For me, probably 200 something days before I really started to get that first like anxiety type attack. So it somewhat depends, but 63 days is a good baseline as far as if you're looking for a countdown timer.
Well, awesome. Thank you, Cody. I think that's about to wrap it up for us. But that was a fantastic talk. I learned a lot from that. I know I'm
Hell
now
yeah.
a wolf type. So trying to go
The
off of that.
freaking wolf. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm a lion.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, hackers. If you saw his links in chat, make sure to pin those, and we'll have the chat ready from that. Other than that, we're going to shut down the stream. Thank you, guys.
Have a good one. Thanks so much for having me, guys.